The rain had begun as a whisper, light, almost delicate, falling over the city like a reminder that seasons were shifting again. But by afternoon, the sky had turned darker, heavier, and the steady drizzle transformed into a restless storm. Trees bent, puddles overflowed, and even the birds disappeared into hiding. Ian hated walking through parks on stormy days. They reminded him too much of things he had tried for years to forget. Still, he kept moving, shoulders hunched, bag held close, just wanting the shortest path home. The wind pushed at him, cold and impatient, as though trying to warn him of something ahead. He stepped over a fallen branch, splashed through a shallow pool of water, and then, just as he rounded the curve of the old banyan tree, he felt it. A strange, quiet pull. He didn't know why he stopped. Maybe it was intuition, maybe the storm, or maybe the universe had decided to stitch two broken paths together again without asking for permission. Whatever the reason, something made him turn his head. At first, all he saw were leaves trembling from the rain, their edges glimmering with droplets. But then a small movement caught his eye, a shift, a faint shake, as if someone had curled up beneath the tree. He squinted. And the breath left him. A woman sat there, knees drawn close to her chest, arms wrapped around herself like she was trying to hold her world together with sheer will. Her clothes were damp, her hair tangled against her cheeks, and she shivered in a way that made Ian's heart dig painfully into old memories. He took a step closer, then froze. No. It couldn't be. But it was. Zara. Even after all this time, he would have known her anywhere. The same quiet grace. The same expressive eyes, except now they carried a weight he had never seen before. For a moment, the rain seemed to fade out of existence. Ian felt the world tilt, blur, then refocus in a way that made his stomach knot. It had been 2 years since he had last seen her. 2 long, complicated years filled with unanswered questions, unsent messages, and a silence that felt like a wound he could never fully heal. He had worked hard to bury her memory beneath new routines, work, gym, friends, anything to convince himself that life had moved forward. But seeing her now, vulnerable and alone beneath the old banyan tree they used to walk past together, it was like someone had reached inside him and reopened everything he had tried so desperately to stitch shut. He took another step, the wet gravel crunching under his shoes. Zara's head lifted slowly, like she sensed someone before she saw them. Her eyes, glistening with a mix of rain and tears, widened slightly when she recognized him. Ian's throat tightened. Zara? The name felt foreign yet painfully familiar on his tongue. She blinked, the faintest tremor passing through her. Ian, her voice cracked, fragile, as though she wasn't sure if she was relieved or terrified to see him. He moved closer but kept a small distance, unsure of what she needed, unsure of what he was even allowed to feel. What happened? Why are you here? You're soaked. She looked away, staring at the muddy ground as if it held the answer she was too afraid to speak. I didn't plan to be here, she whispered. I was just walking, and the rain started, and I didn't know where else to go. Her voice trembled in that familiar way, the same way she had sounded the night everything in her life fell apart. Ian felt the memory like a cold wind against his chest. Zara, he said gently, you're shivering. You shouldn't be out here alone. Alone. That word hit him harder than he expected. Zara had never been someone who let herself reach this level of vulnerability in public. She was proud, strong, and always the one lifting others up, even when she was breaking inside. For her to be sitting here like this meant she must have been carrying something so heavy, so painful, that even she couldn't keep her walls upright anymore. He lowered himself slowly, kneeling beside her despite the wet ground soaking into his jeans. Talk to me, he murmured. Please. Zara's eyes filled again, but she blinked the tears away, refusing to let them fall. I didn't want anyone to see me like this. Especially not you. Ian's heart twisted. Why, especially not me? Because, she hesitated, breath shuddering. Because the last time you saw me, I was already falling apart. And I promised myself I'd never let you see me like that again. He swallowed hard. The ache in her voice, it was too familiar. Too close to the night her world had collapsed under obligations she never asked for, family expectations, pressures, the sudden death of someone she loved deeply. Ayan had tried to be her support, but in her grief and confusion, she had pushed him away. The breakup had been abrupt, raw, and neither of them had healed properly since. She hugged her arms tighter around herself. "I didn't expect to see you today," she whispered. "Not here. Not like this." Ayan looked at her carefully, not with judgment, but with the quiet understanding he once gave so easily. "Zara," he said softly, "you're not alone. Not right now." She turned toward him slowly. Her eyes, tired and heavy, searched his face as though trying to decide whether she was allowed to lean on him again. Whether he was still the same person she once trusted more than anyone. The storm thundered somewhere above them, but neither moved. There was a moment, just a heartbeat, when the world seemed to hold its breath. Ayan reached out, hesitated, then gently offered her his jacket. "Here. Take this. You're freezing." She didn't refuse. Not this time. She pulled the jacket around her shoulders, and Ayan saw the smallest hint of relief soften her expression. It was then, watching her beneath the ancient banyan tree, fragile and lost, that Ayan realized something he had been denying for 2 years. No matter how much time had passed. No matter how much distance life had put between them. Seeing her like this still broke him. And yet, it also awakened something inside him he thought he had buried forever. A quiet promise. A quiet hope. A quiet truth that he was almost afraid to name. Zara looked up at him again, voice barely a whisper. "Why did you stop for me?" Ayan met her eyes, steady, unflinching. "Because I couldn't just walk away," he said. "Not from you." And under that tree, in the middle of a storm, their unfinished story quietly began to tremble back to life.